If you like to make your NFL games a little bit more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast. We are, of course, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman. You know that, 5 teams, 7 years. Unfortunately, my game broadcasts are done for the season until August in Philadelphia for the preseason games, but it was awesome. Went out with a bang on the sideline from Sunday's AFC Championship game, interviewing L'Jarius Sneed and Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, saying hello to Taylor Swift. It was awesome, absolutely awesome. Certainly check me out, please, on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. Check us out at Ross Tucker Pod. As a reminder, 2 things you need to know. Number 1, this show is year-round because as soon as football season's over, Steve still has at least one play every week that he recommends, whether it's the Masters or March Madness or whatever. Steve always has something to keep you guys in on the action. Plus, we have awesome guests in the offseason, like guys that Steve respects, guys that have strategies and philosophies that have worked out for them. Make sure you're checking us out in the offseason as well. Next week, we'll have a Super Bowl extravaganza, but we're going to dive in today as well. By Steve, of course, you guys know I'm talking about the star of this show, the one and only Steve Fezzik, who you absolutely should check out on social media at Fezzik Sports and only at Fezzik Sports. I still see people saying, you know, I did this at stevefezzik.com. Not him. That's an imposter. That should be illegal. Steve only does stuff at pregame.com. So if it's not pregame.com, it's here on our show, or go to patreon.com/RTmedia. That's where you see the official plays that Steve makes on this show. You must become a Tuckheads member at patreon.com/RTmedia. We also have the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, which is daily, keeping you guys rolling. Cannot wait to see Steve next week. Steve, can't wait to see you in person again. It'll be twice in 1 year. I'm thinking maybe we have a couple episodes next week because I want to maximize. I might even get you on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast just because betting on the Super Bowl is such a big deal. And I'm guessing because of that, a huge opportunity. Refresh my memory on the opportunity that the Super Bowl represents because of all of the quote unquote, I don't know if you guys call it public money or stupid money. I don't know what you guys call it, but all the money that comes in, Steve.
Well, it's just one game, so side and total, it's no different really than any other game. The difference is that there's up to 500 proposition bets that are offered on the Super Bowl, and it used to be better, but it's still really good for twofold. Sportsbooks put up unique props at open, and they make mistakes, frankly. They just put up lines that are wrong. So it's a race to get at the very first mistakes on the numbers. And then you're right, the public takes a hold of some prop bets, and inevitably the public is going to bet certain things over. They always do. As an example, the obvious bet over would be to bet Patrick Mahomes rush yards over. It's currently at 25.5. If you wanted to bet Mahomes over, you want to bet now. If you want to bet under, you wait till post, and you'll probably get an under 29.5 at post, by example.
Ooh, that's a good point because people like to bet over. So as we get closer and closer to post, these numbers will go up. So if you're going to bet something now, you're betting overs. If you want to bet unders, you wait.
Absolutely. Yes. That's a great basic strategy. And I know it's unlikely that players are going to land right on the number, but Ross, every yard matters, and it's not unusual. I know the year in that was when the Super Bowl was in Miami, that Mahomes, by example, went over his rush yards if you were the first to take the bite out of the apple. And then he wound up taking like 3 rushes for like minus 16 yards to end the game. And so he came all the way back down to where if you bet the opener, you won. If you bet any other number over, you lost.
Ooh, boy, that's rough. All right, we're going to get more into the Super Bowl momentarily, but we do need to recap our bets from last week. That's what we always do here on the Even Money Betting Podcast. It was a good week, Steve. Really good week. You and I had one best bet, getting the Chiefs getting 3.5 points. We loved it. We both put 2 units on it. They won the game outright. I was actually stunned, Steve, stunned that evidently money was coming in on Baltimore and the line went up to 4. Who are these people? I mean, who are all these people, Steve, that were laying 3.5 to push the line to 4?
You know, there's an epic book called The Odds by Chad Millman, and it documents professional bettor Alan Boston. And it describes just such a situation where Alan Boston bets a game plus 3.5 and the line goes up to 5. And he's thinking to himself, someone is betting the other side and they're betting a lot. So it didn't just come to 4, it came to 4.5, and there was even a 5 that popped up. And it was a mystery to me. I hate it when the market flips me the bird, when the market goes completely against me. But I just couldn't understand it because I'm like, well, Lamar Jackson, we don't trust in the playoffs. And, obviously we trust God, that is Mahomes. When you're praying for the Chiefs to cover, you may say you're praying to Mahomes, but you're really praying to God because he is the greatest quarterback of all time. It's just incredible what he can do. And ultimately, the one conversion he made where he was like in the pocket 8 seconds and then finally found Kelsey is just a play no other quarterback in the league can make.
He's pretty darn impressive, Steve. There's no question about it. You and I were all over that one with getting the Chiefs and the points, and rightfully so. I was surprised. I didn't know it got up to 4.5 and 5 some places, Steve. That is bananas.
Jeff Benson, Circus Sports, went to 5. So Circa takes the biggest limits in town also, up to $100,000 plus on these games. And he's like, anybody that wants Kansas City, come on down. We're having a special plus 5. Yes.
Wow. That's awesome. All right. Well, you and I were all over that one. And then for the Lions and the Niners, I leaned under with you. I actually did a parlay for DraftKings, and I had the under in the Chiefs-Ravens game. So my parlay hit. I had the Lions getting the points, the Chiefs getting the points, and the under in the first game. I don't remember you and I saying the under on the second game, but evidently we did. Thankfully, it was just a lean. You also, Steve, leaned to the Niners. I put 1 unit on the Lions at 7. Interestingly, Steve, I had said if it got up to 7.5, I would put 2 units on it. It got up to 8 some places and then came back down. Talk to me about the line movement on the Lions.
Yeah, spot on. So it was 7 for most of the week and pretty much painted 7.5 with some rogue 8s. And, at some point you wonder if some public money entered into the arena, right? Where you're seeing more and more big bets from recreational bettors. And maybe that's what pushed both favorites upwards. I can tell you this, no professional gambler, none, would ever lay 7.5 when they had all week to lay 7 on a game like that. Very interesting the way Dan Campbell, who, by the way, the analytics people, they actually like Dan Campbell because it's kind of like, remember when Chris Moneymaker won the World Series of Poker? And some people said, oh, he's a dummy, he can't play. Well, you know what? Being ultra aggressive in no-limit poker is directionally the right thing to do. And being ultra aggressive in the NFL as a head coach is directionally the right thing to do. Obviously, so Dan Campbell made some mistakes, but all year long he got it right in that he was ultra aggressive.
Interesting. I want to get into that a little bit deeper with you momentarily. I will say that I had 1 unit and that cashed for me. So for the week, Steve, I was up 3 units. You were up 2 units. That means for the year, I'm finally off of 0. Finally, after like 3 straight weeks at 0, I'm at +3 for the year. You are at +29. We were 1-0 on our best bets. How about this on our best bets for the year now? 33, 33, and 1. Isn't that remarkable? 33, 33, and 1. Obviously not nearly good enough to make sure you guys are making money. I do want to ask you, before we get into the Super Bowl and some of this other stuff, Steve, I did want to ask you your thoughts on, well, first about this. How about this one? What are your thoughts, first of all, on Zay Flowers' fumble? I know how you feel about reaching for the goal line near the pylon. What about middle of the field, that situation?
Yeah, just kind of a confluence of unfortunate events. I don't think he was not protecting the ball. Obviously, he was falling forward, trying, but not reaching the ball forward. I thought it was acceptable. It's just sometimes things happen in football, and you can't play so conservatively to like think to yourself, "Oh, let me not fumble." So I was fine with it. What about you, Ross?
Totally fine with that. I mean, obviously, it's just an unbelievable play by L'Jarius Sneed. I guess you'd like to think that Flowers has a little bit more presence, but he was so close, and he even went low. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Sure.
harder for them to punch it out when you go low like that and you're diving. And it wasn't like he had it way out in front of him. It was still sort of within the framework of his body. Just a terrific play by L'Jarius Sneed, who was bawling, by the way, after the game, Steve, when I interviewed him. Let's talk, though, about the 2 field goals by Dan Campbell, or fourth downs where he did not kick the field goals, and your thoughts on that, because I've been really curious to hear what you think.
So, end of the first half, he chose to kick the field goal. I 100% agree. He's like on the 3.5 yard line. I think they get into the end zone if they run the last play, maybe 3/7 of the time. So, the expectation, whether you go for the touchdown or the field goal, is 3 points. So, it doesn't matter in terms of your point expectation. Some would say, now, wait, now the Lions are a big underdog. They should be ultra aggressive and go for it more often than not. Well, the script had switched at that point. Now they were actually a 9 point favorite. And as a 9 point favorite, you want to reduce variance, meaning you don't want to go for it, all things being equal on any close call. You want to reduce variance of the game and kick the field goals. So he was correct in that case to kick the field goal. Where he was incorrect was when they went into halftime, they're up 17, the Niners cut to 14, they drive down, and they have a 4th and short. I know the kicker isn't the best kicker in the NFL, but you're up 14. It's late in the third quarter. You have to kick the field goal on 4th and short there because you want, again, reduce variance. You're still laying 9 at that point. You're supposed to win the game. Why increase the variance of the game?
What about the one in the fourth quarter?
The one in the fourth quarter, I was
They could've tied
A-OK.
it.
Yeah, I was A-OK with it because now the script has switched again. Now the Niners are ahead by 3. The Niners are supposed to win this game. They're the better team. If you attempt the field goal, you're just trying to tie the game. So you're a big underdog to win at that point. So now you need to go back to increasing variance. So it's correct to all things being equal. If the expectation is close in terms of the analytics people, which it would be, you go for it and you play aggressive because you're the underdog at that point.
Here's what I would recommend, Steve. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Right now, all Game Time users, you guys know I have the app on my phone and I love it, get $100 off a big game ticket with code Vegas100. Terms apply, but do what I did. Just download the Game Time app and use code VEGAS100 for $100 off a big game ticket. Or if you're not going to the game, use code MONEY, MONEY, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. You know how I feel about it. I love being able to see my seat and exactly what the vantage point is before I buy. I love the Game Time guarantee, meaning you always get the best price. And it's so nice to just hit 2 clicks and know that you're getting your tickets. Absolutely love it. Interesting, Steve, on what you said about the Lions' decisions. Not like in the first one, you did like the second. I talked to an analytics guy for an NFL team today. They agreed with what you said, that the first one they thought they should have kicked it. The second one, you kick the field goal there, you're really just setting the Niners up to go down and score and take the lead again. You're not, you're really not helping yourself to win the game. So interesting. Let's talk overall, Steve, Super Bowl betting strategy. Here we are, whatever it is, 12 days from the big game. DraftKings Sportsbook, one of our big advertisers, they already have out there a lot of prop bets on this game. I want you to peel back the curtain and talk about what your and others' Super Bowl betting strategy should be, because I thought you said something interesting when I texted you about the DraftKings having so many prop bets out already.
Yeah, pros love betting props for the Super Bowl, but there's certain dynamics of this game that we're unhappy about. We don't like it when a game is pick 'em. And why is that? Because it's too easy to price so many prop bets. Who's going to have the longest touchdown? Who's going to cover the third quarter, the fourth quarter? Who's going to have more first downs? Who's going to have more yardage? Bottom line is, if the game's close to pick 'em, it's so easy to price all that and make San Francisco a slight favorite in each and every one of these, that a lot of the opportunities that you might have with a 3 or a 6 or a 9-point favorite goes out the window when a game is aligned very close to pick. Secondly, pulling back the curtain, one of the secrets the pros love to bet every Super Bowl, Ross, is for the Super Bowl to start out slow. And you bet things like first half under, first quarter under, second half to outscore first half. But the dynamics of this game are unfortunate in that the Chiefs are a dead nut under team in the second half. Spags makes the right adjustments at halftimes with that defense. Oftentimes Mahomes and company just run clock. And so we've seen the Chief games go under massively in the second half. So look at my dilemma. I've got a team in the Chiefs that are very low scoring in the second half, their games. And I've got Super Bowls that are very high scoring in the second half. They offset each other. And I don't think I can make any of the bets that I normally make first half versus second half, etc.
I got to tell you, I don't understand. I'm looking at DraftKings Sportsbook right now, and we record this 9:25 a.m. Eastern time on Tuesdays. By the way, it's going to be, might be a little bit later than that. I'm not sure yet next week. But the Niners are 2-point favorites. The total's 47. Steve, I don't get it. I mean, I thought that the Chiefs were clearly the better team in all three playoff games we've seen, against the Dolphins, against the Bills, and against the Ravens. I think even the Bills and Ravens games, those games were lucky to be that close. You know, you think about, the McCole Hardman play where he fumbles out of the end zone. You think about, Rashee Rice, end of the first half. They call that back on a hold for the Chiefs. I mean, that game could have gotten away from the Ravens. I thought the Niners were not the better team in both those games. I thought they had a lot of fluky plays really go their way. Reynolds dropped the ball off Vildor's face mask to Ayuk. What are these guys looking at that, based on what we've seen in the postseason, the 49ers are still favored in this game?
Yeah, I don't understand the line either. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead. We're not supposed to make our official play in the game till next week. Well, that's not how I roll. If it's +2, I am pretty darn confident we won't see better. Put me down 2 units on the Kansas City Chiefs +2. I also have to comment, the media has gotten this wrong. The narrative, I've heard a zillion times people saying, well, the look-ahead line on this matchup was +3. The Kansas City, you could have gotten +3 last week, and now you're only getting +2. They are correct. The look-ahead opener was +3. The pros gobbled Kansas City up +3. That number disappeared. They liked Kansas City before the games were played last week at +3 because it closed 2.5. So the closing number was Chiefs +2.5. What's happened since? Niners were lousy. They were bad. They played a horrible game against Detroit. Lucky to survive. And all Kansas City did was go in and kick the best team in football, the Baltimore Ravens' butt. So if 2.5 was correct last week, then 2.5 can't be close to correct this week. And we're basically getting almost the same thing, +2. 2 units on a game that should be pick 'em, if not Kansas City. I actually made Kansas City the smallest, the tiniest of favorites. So +2, 2 units, official pick.
I'm going to join you, Steve. I'm going to make it my DraftKings best bet, presented by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code Ross, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void for prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details. For me, it's very simple. The Chiefs have clearly been the better team in all 3 playoff games. The Niners have been the worst team, I think, in both of their playoff victories. I think the Chiefs are the better team. I think the Chiefs are going to win the game. You're going to give me 2 points. I'm going to take them. I'm with you, Steve. Chiefs +2, 2 units. Best bet.
The best bet.
What about the props, Steve? They're all out now. But you and I were texting back and forth. Like, since the props are all out, shouldn't we be firing on all of them now before they all get, bought up and by next week they're not as good?
Yes, but they're not widely available. And frankly, I just haven't given them out to my clients yet. So I can't just start, firing left and right on something that's just available at one select book. I try to wait till at least several books have them. However, I am going to give out a prop bet. I'm going to go 1 unit, first quarter, Kansas City Chiefs +0.5. Ross, anyone who knows me knows I love +0.5 and a quarter bet. I love it so much. It's almost like it doesn't seem like much, but everything has to go wrong for you to lose. Both teams defer if they win the coin toss, so it's 50-50 who gets the ball first. Think about this. If the Chiefs get the ball, there's a really good chance you're going to get 2 possessions, and the Niners are only going to get 1. The only way you lose is if basically you bagel on your possessions and the Niners score. Obviously, you could lose 7-3 also. But the path to victory, there's so many other paths where the first quarter ends in a tie at 0-0 or 7-7, 3-3, and you win with the +0.5. So you have to lay like minus $1.50, I think, ish. I'm going to take Kansas City for 1 unit, +0.5 in the first quarter.
Got it. I like that bet too, quite a bit. Almost as much as I like DoorDash, Steve. Listen, for the Super Bowl or for any big game, make it easy on yourself. Order in on DoorDash. Now you can root for your bets while your food and drinks are on the way. That means burgers, chips, dips, soda, pizza, wings, so much more delivered straight to your door. And then you got to have something delicious to wash it down with, Steve. That is Labatt Blue Light. Drink some with your friends and live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. All right, so is the quarter an official play that we want grades to play and grade you on, Steve?
Yes, sir. 1 unit +0.5. But we do have to lay, like I said, it's minus $1.55, I believe. So we're playing a little extra vig, but absolutely. Bold prediction, first quarter will end in a tie and we'll steal it because we're getting the +0.5.
Next week, obviously, Steve and I will get into more of the prop bets that Steve really, really likes after he gives them out to his clients. They'll, of course, also the ones he makes on this show. He does a lot of other stuff for his clients, but the ones he does on this show, you can get on our private Slack channel, patreon.com/RT Media. Here's some props that jumped out to me. Steve, I want to get your thoughts on them. Looking at DraftKings, Brock Purdy, 11.5 rushing yards. Listen, he's had to do that a bunch recently, and he's pretty good at it. There's a good chance that's one scramble. That's one run, Steve. I like the over Brock Purdy, 11.5 rushing yards. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the only concern I have is the end game because Purdy goes for 16. You're styling, you're going to win. And this has burned me on multiple times. If the Niners wind up winning the game, and because I like the Chiefs, I'm a little less concerned. But I mean, certainly the Niners are going to win about half the time. And then he takes the victory formation and he loses back 9 yards on the final 2 or 3 plays. So that's my only concern.
I like Christian McCaffrey over 35.5 receiving yards. When I looked at it yesterday on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, his over-under receptions was 4.5. So if they're saying it's 4.5, then he has to average 9 yards a reception. I feel pretty good about that, with him. Plus, especially the Chiefs have really good corners. I think the advantage is getting McCaffrey or running back matched up on their linebackers. I think McCaffrey's going to have a huge day. And then last one, maybe I'll talk about more about next week, Purdy over half an interception. He's been throwing interceptions and interceptable balls a lot. All the Chiefs need is one interception, Steve. To me, it seems like there's a pretty decent chance of those. We'll see whether or not those are official prop plays next week. We will have an epic Super Bowl show. Do not miss it. Going to be awesome. Other than that, good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for tuning in to Even Money. Make sure to also check out the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.